Hello folks, welcome to Lexia IAS. In today's video, we'll be discussing a current affair topic presented to you by our faculty Sushma KP. So what is the topic that we will be looking into today? That is India-China border tensions. In this video, we'll be discussing as to why is it tense, what is the relevance of it. We will also be seeing about your border issues, areas of friction. We will be ending with the prelims questions and the mains questions. Now, if you see what is the relevance of it, UPSC, that is your GS paper 2. Look at this. Why is it in news? Addressing his annual press conference ahead of Army Day, Army Chief General Upendra Dwivedi also says grazing has resumed in traditional spots in eastern Ladakh regions. We will be looking into Indo-China border conflict. Now look at this. According to the Army Chief, the general consensus is there is disengagement, there is some stability, but it is still sensitive. So there is still a degree of standoff between your Indo and China. Understanding? Now when the army chief was asked, now we are claiming it is stable, and mostly that is because we are claiming mostly stable is because your Ministry of External Affairs, yes, Jayanagar has claimed that 75% of Indo-China issue has reached disengagement. So 75% of the area reaching disengagement is pretty much a high ratio. So based on that, we are telling yes, there is some stability. And then ask the army chief, do you think there is a possibility of reducing the deployed troops? For which Army General has held that reduction of deployed troops is not yet in question. India-China relations have not reached that point. But usually when you see with respect to deployment of troops, there is something called as summer deployment and there is something called as winter deployment. Usually, this is not something to do with this issue, more troops are deployed during your summer times compared to the winter times. This does not mean the troop deployment has reduced, but usually this is the procedure. If at all to see any more changes should be done in deployment, then we have to wait for your working mechanism for consultation and coordination in Indo-China border affairs. But as of now, presently in the winter, there is no reduction in the deployment. And if at all further deployment reduction issues have to take place, or we have to talk on that we have to wait up until the summer deployment. This is what is going on. First and foremost, we'll see where are the areas of friction between your India and China. It is your Depsang Plains, Hot Springs, your Beg Oldie Bridge, Galwan Valley, Pangong So Lake and Demchok. Multiple more are there, but these are of very high importance. We'll discuss. Now, look at this Depsang Plains. This is strategically very important for India as well as your China. One main thing is having this Depsang Plain under India's control gives it easier access to Siachen Glacier. But if at all, because of recent issues and standoff with China where both side forces are trying to mobilize and then trying to claim each other's places, if Depsang Plains goes into the hands of your China, then it will be put in a position where from both Pakistan as well as China will round off Indian army. In sensitive times, during crucial times, this would be a huge detrimental factor to India, which makes Depsang Plains very important. Another thing is your Pangong Lake. wherein it is an issue about 8 fingers. This is a military term where they use it, where India claims all the 8 fingers, China claims 4 fingers. That is the geographical location, how much area of it. Now look at this Demchok region. This is extremely important for us to observe the Chinese movement. LAC, line of actual control between India and China. Look at this place, Daulat Beg Oldie. This region is of extreme importance is because recently the standoff was again, China is always trying to do confrontations with India over this, is because if it captures this zone, then Siachen, which is under India's control, which is of extreme geographical importance to India and the most sensitive place, because Siachen directly leads into Oxide Chin. Now, previously when I told Depsang plains are important, it is because it directly leads us to Siachen, which Siachen leads us into Oxide Chin. This China doesn't like. To counter that, it wants to have this Daulat Beg Oldie region. We said we have reached, or at least your external affairs minister has, or at least yes, Jayanagara has claimed that yes, 75% of disengagement has happened. How is that? Ahead of your BRICS summit and all, there was high-level meetings from your National Security Advisor Ajit Doval and Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi. So a considerable amount of disengagement was reached. Now look at this. With respect to the Siachen Glacier, look at this zone. Now you can see the Siachen Glacier is a very important aspect, like we discussed previously. It leads directly into Oxide Chin. And also if you see a geological survey of India, that this particular, it has earmarked this number as a boundary between India and Pakistan. This is the number given to your Siachen Glacier by a geological survey. Look at this. This is another area of friction between your India and China. Pangong Lake region, wherein the lake is divided into 8 fingers. Again, in military terms, India is claiming 8 fingers. China claims 4 fingers. Now, your Daulat Beg Oldie, we just saw in the previous slides also how important this is. One main thing is, the advantage is the flat terrain here provides for your military equipments, which becomes ideal for anyone to have this zone, and which is why China constantly tries to have a friction in this zone and tries to get it under its control. And it is very important during your winter operations for communication, logistic mobilization. Understanding? Why is China so much being aggressive on your LAC? Now when you say line of actual control, it is more of your 3000 odd kilometers. Look at this. First is because of infrastructure sensitivity. It became very much cautious about the infrastructure developments that was did by India in these zones. Second thing is element of coercion, wherein it wants to exert pressure on India in your G20, in your BRICS. Okay? And this is wolf warrior diplomacy is something that your Chinese diplomats use. Constant coercion. This is actually a diplomacy tool used by your diplomats. Now they are using that in your military also. Trying to constantly pressurize. They will use it as a leverage tactics in your international mediums, forums, podiums, and also gain and exert economic and diplomatic pressures on India. How can they address the Indo-border issue is first and foremost setting up buffer zones, usage of drones to make sure there will be no military zone between them. That is, in whatever zone, let's say there is a buffer zone, in that particular place, neither China nor India is supposed to use any military equipments. So you will monitor them through drones. There will be no forward marching here. This is what constantly your India and China tries to do. Each of them tries to take away each of their watch spots. Yes. So, and another main thing is to make sure that they both agree to diplomatic outcomes and not lead to confrontation. For example, in the very first article you saw that yes, grazing is allowed now. That is because they are not wanting to get into miscalculated confrontations. Why? Because China has gone for technological advancements and innovations, and also it is hoarding huge amount of your military equipments. So it wouldn't be wise to go lock horns with a wild bull. Yes, but at the same point of time, you can't be very careless, lethargic thinking, let it do whatever it wants. So you have to take a very cautious approach here. Now let's see some prelims and mains questions. Look at this. Siachen Glacier is situated to this was your 2020 prelims question. East of Aksachin, east of Leh, north of Gilgit, north of Nubra Valley. Answer is D, north of Nubra Valley. Look at this. This is a possible mains question. How can India and China improve their approach to conflict management and prevent future standoffs? That's what we discussed in the previous slide. First and foremost, they have to make sure they set up certain buffer zones, no military zones, usage of drones, to watch that the zones remain demilitarized. Understanding? So this is how you go about the question. We've reached the end of the content. If you like our content, subscribe to our channel, hit the like button and share it along with your friends. Thank you.